Well, welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Joy Apple. I'm the director of success at Orchestry. If you haven't come by to see us at the booth, I think they're tearing it down literally as we speak, but you can still go harass them later. That's fine. Yeah. In this talk, and it really is a talk about using what we know about IT and about tooling to solve business problems. So my background, I've been in the Microsoft space for about 20 years. In fact, I'll officially hit 20 this fall. And started out on the SharePoint side of the world, farm admin, trainer, consultant, and all that. I'm a problem solver. Before I was in IT, I was in the financial industry. And, people kind of get uptight about their houses and their money, right? So when they have problems, they're upset, they're stressed out, and they need solutions. And that was my favorite thing with fixing things. Well, and I have found in my time in IT that if we can just sit and have a conversation before we solution, before we fix, before we roll out, we actually have few problems later down the road, even though it might feel like it's just a little slower to get it going. It does take work. So we're going to talk about that. Great sponsors this year. We always appreciate everyone that comes and does it. I was really excited to have Orchestry have an official booth here. My fifth year at ComsV and first time having Orchestry sponsor. All right. Oh, wait, look, I even had a slide about me. Yeah, these are the things they do. If you are interested in governance across the entire ecosystem of Microsoft 365, I, along with Christian Buckley and Ragnar Heil, we host Guardians of M365 Governance. It's on YouTube. We do a LinkedIn Live with it every month. And some days it may be about AI and agents, and some days it might be about fabric. It could be about SharePoint intranet. It could be about a wide variety of things. We talk to everybody. So I hope you'll join in. A little bit about what we're going to talk about today, the Great Divide, right? Because it really does feel like sometimes it is IT versus the business versus IT. And I don't think it should be that way. And I don't think it has to be this way. But it's going to take some mindset shifts on both sides of that. We're going to talk about the challenges. We used to just talk about shadow IT, but now we have to also talk about shadow AI, right? Which is a flavor of talk about some solutions, things we can do post delivery to keep building momentum and keep building a better relationship with the business. I'm curious, where do you sit in the fight? Where do you rumble? Like, who are we? IT? Got those folks that's both. I see you, sir. Right? You walk the line. Probably a lot of your time is spent translating IT speak to the business and the business speak back to IT, right? Major superpower right there. But no matter where we are in that, right? It's remembering it doesn't really have to be a fight. You can build relationships. But from an IT, for the good old days, ship it and forget it, baby. I sent you the link to your SharePoint site. Are good to go. Peace out. The help desk will take your ticket if you need to know how to create a call, right? But it was just so good. I gave you what you needed. You have email and you have a telephone. Therefore, you can collaborate. It- the business is like, just leave us alone. Let us get what we want. I understand we've got all this stuff. Maybe they do. I actually have had conversations when I was consulting of people that had no idea they had OneDrive. They didn't know what that was. They had third-party tools, right? They had other things. The business didn't know. So IT's like, just leave me alone. I have the tools. Go figure it out. Let me Google that for you. And then the business is like, let me go get what I need. Leave me alone. Both sides are kind of right in how they feel, but both sides definitely would benefit from the new approach. Because those old days with as fast as things change, gone, gone, gone. Tell you, love it or hate it, social media is a thing. And back in the olden days of Twitter, I joined Twitter in 2009. That's the year I became the senior farm admin for SharePoint at a moss farm. And I was the senior one because I had been on the team for a year and the two other ones left. Whee! Right? Figuring it out. So I went to Twitter and I would watch when people like Christian Buckley or Mark Anderson, Andrew Connell, they would be posting about the latest, the updates, right? And all that. And I would watch people because if nothing else, we're on social media for the comments, right? Even then, I would watch people complain about the problems they were having with the latest. uh, Wait, would wait, and I would wait. When the complaining stopped, I would go apply mine, right? Now, those days are absolutely gone. Microsoft doesn't wait, doesn't wait, doesn't wait, doesn't wait. Now, they do have an interesting definition of the term soon, but always, always something. Ship it and forget it. Literally. And I sent the example of, hey, get you the email to your SharePoint site. When I inherited the 2007, the Microsoft Office SharePoint server, 2007 farm, I was working at a facility. We were engineering and manufacturing. We did government contracts based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And probably 1,000 employees, maybe 500 contractors, like NASA, Army, Navy, whatever. When I inherited that farm, some of our SharePoint site collections were very heavily used. Not well, but heavily used. They were turned on into the SharePoint version of a file share, right? Everything was in the documents library and folders forever. Or, that was released in 2007. I took over in 2009. I was starting to dig around in it, or it had never been touched because the rollout strategy literally was the guy in IT convinced this VP to write the check, buy SharePoint, set up the farm, and then emailed the head of every functional business area a link that said, here's your SharePoint site. That was it. Did finance what SharePoint was, what it meant, how it worked, right? So big opportunity, right? We did ship it and forget it, but it didn't really work that well because we either had sprawling or abandoned technology, probably a good bit of frustration on the user side. Um, Maybe your personal emails being used because I didn't have a really good way to get files to myself or somebody else if I followed company policy. Rogue app, bad, bad, really bad information architecture. I once spent 6 weeks working with our Navy subcontracting team to do nothing but elevate up the deep folders they had built that were so far down, search couldn't get to them. Links didn't work because the URLs were too long. You know how you run backups, but you can't restore something if the backup can't get to it. URLs are too long. That's the problem, but they didn't know, right? They were building their architecture according to file share, right? So yes, they were using it, but they really weren't using it well. So they were very, very frustrated. Shadow IT, okay. I'm probably supposed to tell this story later, but it's on my mind, so I'll tell it now. I once had a customer that we were doing some OneDrive training and adoption because they had gotten a call from Dropbox corporate. They said, "You guys would save so much money as an organization if you would just invest in the Dropbox enterprise solution." They're like, "What do you mean? We don't use Dropbox." Oh, yeah, you do. Because managers broke out their company card and went and bought Dropbox for their team. They had no idea they could do the same thing better in OneDrive. They didn't know, right? And they were already paying for that. It hurts. It hurts the heart. But we all probably have top of mind examples of where these kinds of things happen. You might have lived through it. You might have inherited it. And I think we have these situations where we walk into the unintended consequences because now we have a lot of corporate data left the building. Or maybe I emailed it to myself so I could do what I needed to with it for my Gmail account because our exchange policies weren't right. Maybe the file send restriction was too low. Tools we're paying for go unused. And the credibility of IT erodes. And I think that's a dangerous thing. The business gets frustrated and this relationship starts to deteriorate, right? And there's not a lot of trust. And sometimes I think there's not a lot of respect between the two sides of IT and the business, right? And if you start thinking about this, they're all elements of shadow IT, right? And we have to remind ourselves over and over and over again that the employees of the organizations we work for and we represent, they know them. And sometimes I think IT folks were almost as bad as doctors of having that little God complex, right? Because we know a lot about the technology, how it should be used, how it should be used. They could teach and share so much. But if they don't know how to, they're not going to stop doing their job. They still want to get their paycheck. They don't want to get fired. They've got customers. They need to get proposals and statement of work, project asset, budgets, and spreadsheets to you. So if they can't do it, they're going to get frustrated and work on it, right? They're going to keep doing their job. Bit of a corporate, but I think most of the time that's not malicious. It's not a, well, I'll show you. You didn't give me what I wanted. So I'll just go use you for free, right? It's not necessarily that kind of an attitude, but regardless of why there are absolutely consequences. 80% of workers admit to using SaaS apps without IT approval. And it's very teeny tiny bottom, but this is an industry shadow IT study in 2004. So these numbers aren't too old. 65% of all SaaS apps that are in use are not sanctioned by IT. And I work at I will say, Orchestra, we're kind of a company of cowboys. We also know a lot. We do a lot. And there are times I'm like, oh, yeah, can I officially have this? Group story, right? So, I mean, I can probably include myself in some of this. 1 in 3. That's one too many, right? Successful breaches involved unsanctioned tools. Now, sometimes those tools, they're unsanctioned because we knew they weren't safe, right? Or the person that went and bought them to start using them didn't use the right version of file storage application, or they didn't go to one that would be safer to use in it. So there's absolutely the data to back up not only why is shadow IT a problem, why it's important to invest in the right kind of training, user management, and change management to prevent it. Because training people is not cheap. Anybody here been a trainer, done training, currently does training, right? How many times do you hear, wait, you want them to be away from their desk for a whole day? Well, how's it going to get done? When are the emails going to send? You're like, tell me they can't pause for a day to learn how to work better and more effectively. And to honestly be a more supported member of the organization, right? If I feel trained, I feel supported, I'm going to appreciate that in my job. So there's definitely costs associated with not doing. And I feel a lot of people have the very exclusive TED Talk. No problem. Sorry, you got locked out. We didn't mean to exclude you. So curious. When's the last time maybe one of us in the room, you don't have to look at the camera, you don't have to say your name, right? May have used a tool that IT didn't approve of. But you want to confess, or I feel like you have a story. Like the I didn't. What would it be? Well, you broke the law. Oh, so glad you. It's gonna be great. No, I I get I love it. Anybody on the other side of the room care to confess? They spade. They don't look at the camera. Well, they're yeah. I know. Hard not to. Oh, okay. Uh, It could be worse. It's like you're being chased by a bear. You just have to run faster than everybody else. Right? Yep. All of that. I think, is anyone in my company going to watch this? Probably not. We have a really stupid rule for mobile devices. I'm fine with rule unless they're stupid, right? So I cannot copy and paste data out of Teams to my mobile device and stick it anywhere else. Okay. Can't screenshot. It's stupid. And I'm going back and forth right now. And now I volunteered myself to be part of a new process. And the guy, our IT guy, Noah, he's great. He's like, let me know when you can be involved. I'm like, not this week. But I've confessed this internally. So I don't know why it feels like such a big deal. But I have been known if my husband around is like, babe, take a picture of this place. And I'll have him take a picture of my screen. So I can then email myself that screenshot. I get that picture and I can copy and text. I do what I need to. And somehow that's faster, or maybe I can't get to my computer, or I can't read the 28,000 character WID that I go put over here to do this email. Right. So I do it. Bonus points. It was an AI tool. That's a good one. Double bonus points if it was this week. I did cheat. Well, so I think it's because in IT, we talk different languages. The business talk their language, right? We're talking about technology, risk, and architecture. We want things to be consistent, but especially if we're trying to work through something inconsistent. Finding inconsistent data is one of the most frustrating things. But the business, they have outcomes they need to pursue. They have deadlines. They have things they need to get done. And it needs to happen sometimes yesterday. Sometimes, can you get that to me by the end of the day? Like, they've got these deadlines. And many times they don't know they're going to hit that wall problem or that outcome until they're in the middle of that deadline. Then there's a frustration because IT is like, well, I'm busy too. Like, you don't understand. We're literally making sure the company stays consistent. And it just becomes this conversation back and forth because we have conflicting needs, want some combination thereof. We tend to know the reality, and I think we got to be a little dated as IT people. Neither side really knows the full story. If I go in and I tell someone, no, you can't have Perplexity license to use their work, we may not have time to explain the nitty gritty of why not or why not now, right? We may not understand if we don't take the time. Why do you feel you need this tool? Why do you feel you need room for your calls when we already have Teams, right? Why do you feel you need Dropbox? What is it that you can't do right now? You feel you need to be able to do. And if we don't have that person that can talk the talk between both segments, we don't have a translator, things will absolutely get lost in translation, right? The flip sides of the same coin, which brings us to those top reasons why those users do start to go rogue. Unless I think your AI thing, so much they didn't have tools they needed. It was just super cool. I'm going to see if I can do it. Yeah. Yeah. I did it. Can I do it? Yes, I can. The friction's too high. That's absolutely one reason they go too high. It's like going to get turned down anyway. It's going to take too long. We don't have time to go to IT and figure out what we have to do file sharing. So let's just break out a credit card and go buy Box or Dropbox or whatever. I just don't know. Could the change management done? Uh, you know, fa- faster. It's so okay. Another story came to mind when I saw WhatsApp right here. Um, I had a customer that was having business conversations. They weren't allowed to do like federation in Skype right before Teams. So they couldn't talk to customers chat. They just were over email. They were having business conversations with vendors and other business relationships in Facebook Messenger because they didn't have an IT supported application to use, and everybody has Facebook. Mhm. That's probably like the only time I've been speechless during a discovery conversation, right? Like words, and I'm Oh. Does anybody know? Right? Because I don't want to tell on you, but somebody used to know. And then again, there's that age old, need it now. But the policy says it's going to take 6 weeks. We had a internal policy for reviewing software that was going to take 6 weeks, but we'd already kind of started doing it on the success team at Orchestry. So our head of success finally said, I mean, we made up this rule. And we just done make it up. We're already using it. The CTO already approved. Let's just do it. Yep, that's good. That's good. That's good. Walking a mile in each other's shoes. It's been a theme for me. I did a podcast yesterday at the recording thing, a mile in our shoes. Day. We used to have people that did this. They were called business analysts. I have business analysts to your organization. Are you in a business analyst role? No. The other duties of the sign. Go help the people. Hmm? Oh, come on. Shots fired. Be training. That's tough. That's tough. But if you can find a way to do what we used to call ride along, right? You've got a department, they have a need. We want to understand if it really makes sense to roll out Copilot for finance. I have no idea how finance accounting works. Honestly, numbers are my kryptonite. I don't want to know. I'm just glad there are people that do that. So why not have someone that could go spend an hour or two in a week, maybe even go crazy, half a day, sit down with people on finance and accounting, see how they work, see what their struggles are, see how they're collaborating together. Walk a mile in their shoes to understand why they were using ChatGPT personal account to do the thing because we said no to Copilot, right? Find out why they're not upticking on the training document we sent out, right? They don't even read what we create. So why are we going to waste the time to do things? That would give the business a chance to have that face-to-face, hopefully, like in a perfect world, conversation of like, why is it going to take so long? Why can't we just have Copilot? Do they understand the risk of all those anyone sharing links that are in the organization that we really need to clean up first, right? Why, when I tried to go maybe download ChatGPT to my desktop, it said I couldn't do it. And nothing makes a user happier than not being able to download something one. Why didn't anyone actually talk? Busy. We know what you need. We'll get it to you when we're ready. I think that's kind of how we tend to look at those things. Back in my SharePoint farm admin days, there was a 2-year backlog for custom software requests. 2 years. We're building custom software for the government, for the military. I mean, government moves so crazy slow. But how relevant is a piece of software going to be in 2 years? I put in my request. That requirement's gone. That customer's gone somewhere else. IT, like we are the solution provider. The business is our customer, right? So it does start to become that interesting conversation of how do we begin to meet needs of our customer. Fun fact, who's heard of ITAS before? Yeah, no. There, AV guy has. It's sounding familiar. I told you. Back in the olden days, I had this as a matrix slide, right? Like, I told you. ITAS, IT as a service. Absolutely fixes that. Again, I actually approached this with a network engineer. He got very offended at this conversation. Like, I'm not a service desk. Have people that do things like that. And I basically said, what I'm doing is important. No, it's not. Really not. Our job is to provide a service to the business. It's literally what we're paid to do. So if we start to flip it, instead of I know better than you, you'll take what I give you and like it because I said so, we have the conversation. Things start to shift. We stop becoming an order taker, which I don't think any of us like, to a service provider. We become, instead of like project-based, relationship-based. Now, if you're like me, sometimes we say these fuzzy words and we roll our eyes. it's important to build relationship with our business. And instead of did we deliver it? Did we ship it? Is it gone? It's out of our hands now? Help desk can take over the rest? No. Are they getting value? The pointer doesn't work here. Are they getting value? Powerful question. Follow up. I'm on the success team at Orchestra. Uh, we have a series of success sessions for onboarding. And anywhere from, it depends on the customer's preference, 1 month, 3 months later, I get on a phone call or a member of my team does. How is it going? We were going through your onboarding or your evaluation. You identified these 2 or 3 things that you wanted to accomplish. Have you made progress? We want to archive everything that hasn't been used in 6 months. That's a very lofty goal, right? I know we're not going to be able to do that in your first 90 days software tool. Have you been able to start having conversations? Have you been able to use the reporting to find those inactive things? We roll out, we do training for teams. We wanted Zoom because it's easier. Yeah, only if you're more familiar with it. We do training on Teams, show them how to use Teams, how to do the meeting recap, all that good stuff. Up in a month. How's it going? How are the meeting recaps working for you? You find it's easy to go back through the transcripts, get the information. Are you having any stumbling blocks? What is it not delivered for you that you need? Powerful. Now, not only are you making sure you're solving a problem, we're saving money by buying licenses we don't need. We're enabling the business to become, proficient at the tools they have, starts building a better relationship for the next time they need something. But with the solutioning, I struggle with this. It starts with questions, not answers. I used to deliver a version of this presentation with a very good friend, Jay Lee. He was at AppPoint for a while. He's up at Microsoft now. And he would go over and over and over again. As a solutioner, we should ask why or how can I help or what do you mean by that? We should basically ask why 5 times. I'll do it like you're crazy. Then we'll think about it. And I did. I had a customer once used to say this all the time in meetings. I was doing a SharePoint 2013 implementation. Anybody heard of Quick Trip? You have Quick Trip here now, right? I was at Quick Trip headquarters in Tulsa, Oklahoma, ready to take them into SharePoint 2013. Doug Cusiamano was my point of contact. Great guy. We need to be able to collaborate. We need collaboration. He would say that over and over and over again. Finally, one time I was like, Doug, say that again with zero context. You're going to stand in the corner. What do you mean? What do you mean? Because this is way before team. What do you mean be able to collaborate? Do you need to be able to talk with people? Do you have a desk phone? You need to be able to send messages to people. You have email. Those are forms of collaboration. Or do you mean you need to be able to have that real-time document collaboration that SharePoint gives? Or do you need to be able to do that with people across business units in the org? Maybe your security has been so tight you cannot be able to do. What do you mean, right? Ask why 5 times. And it starts to have a really good conversation. They feel heard. We get clarity. We finally understand what the heck they mean, why they think Zoom will be easier than Teams. I can't tell you though. I get in a Zoom meeting. I can't find anything. Is it because it's harder? Well, I don't think so. I think it's because I'm not familiar with it. If the train goes in, right? But if we build it from a run, I like line, and I can't claim it. Pod Cowork actually came up with this line right here. Build straight from a 1-line requirement. You build the wrong thing twice. You need to be able to collaborate. Here's team. That's not what I meant. Oh. Before you build. Who is this for? Finance and accounting. What does that mean? Who and is it the VP? Because those rules could be a little different, right? Could be. It could be very different. Is it for someone that's working from a tablet on a warehouse floor? Could be a very different solution, right? Who are we building? What problem does it solve? We love cool stuff because it's cool. Like, give me something new. I will go play with it. I love shiny things. Today, what problems are we solving? If it's not solving a problem, the business doesn't care. They got other things they need to go to. What's not working? How does it not work? When I would do whoa, there was a microphone there. When I would do deployment planning sessions with new customers, usually we were going to like roll out SharePoint into brand new tenant, or we were redoing their intranet, something like that. And I would say, all right, it's 2018, 2019, it's 2021. Computers are supposed to be really smart. What's the stupidest thing you have to do every day? And it should just be easier. Like, what problem can Microsoft 365 solve for you? And you always preface, like, I'm not saying I can do it tomorrow. And we're going to have to prioritize. That might not come for 6 months or a year down the road. But if we don't know about the problem, can't fix it, can't address it, can't prepare for it. What have you already tried? Is there anything you've already gone through that's failed? So then I know, don't even come at me with that. We already tried that. Fair enough. Very fair enough. What does success look like? That can apply to anything. You know, new year, new year, it's January. I'm going to get healthy. What does that mean? What does success look like? How will I know I've successfully gotten help? You need to be able to collaborate. What does successful collaboration look like? We can guess, but we can't get it right without those conversations. And I'm curious, like in your organizations, do you have a process for having these conversations currently? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Who are you usually talking to in those? Us. Okay. Okay. So when I would go do the deployment planning workshops, we would talk to usually, I don't know, depend on the customer, how much money they wanted to spend, right? Three, five, eight of their primary business areas. My number one rule, let's say a really good reason, no managers allowed. No managers allowed. Um, Not always, but I found usually the higher up someone is in that management tier, the less they actually are in touch with the day-to-day things going on. So they don't really know what problem they may have heard it. They can't explain it because they're not dealing with it. They're helping manage their team through it. That's very different. I help manage our support desk, but I am not actually doing the intake of those tickets and doing things like that. So when Maria on my support team has a problem with something like that, I need very clear information because I'm not living it. I'm not living with that frustration. So I would suggest trying to shift that audience a bit. Say like HR needs an easier process for sharing content with candidates for interviews, right? Because they're about inside the organization, guests or external users, however that's going to work. Um, Make sure it's the people that are actually trying to do that every day that are in the ring. Uh, I would say try to reduce the number of IT people in the ring. Sometimes that's hard because we're the ones that be there to do it. But I think we tend to jump to the fix or we hear right, and then we're very excited to do it. I can help you. I can do all this great stuff. That would definitely be my number one suggestion there. Um, and I will say I am a solutioner, so it's my marriage is fun because I'm the tech person, fixer. Husband is a mechanic, also a fixer. Right? He has that very methodical troubleshooting brain too. You have two fixers in a relationship. One is the talker. The other is just very quiet. He internalizes things first and he'll talk when he has something to say. So, you know what other fixers don't like? They don't like to be fixed without their consent. Like, and he actually told me once, he's like, talking to me like I'm your customer. Don't need a solution right now. Like, got it. Sorry. Right. Sometimes we're too eager to fix everything and make it all good. So letting the business talk, I'll ask them the question, listening to what they're saying. And I would say, oh man, if I had never thought about this till literally this moment, if I could have taken like a transcript, I never recorded those. So I had a transcript of one of those. I could run it through an agent to help it pick up on things that my human ears or my solutioner was too busy thinking of an answer. Oh, that could be powerful. That might be something to try. Well, I'm getting those answers. So scenario here. This was apparently some VP last Tuesday. It's like, why is Copilot finding the wrong stuff? Why am I getting bad answers? I know this report is wrong. Why does search keep bringing up these things? Right? As an IT person, I might ask them all kinds of different questions. Oh, but if I don't, like what we're going to hear is, can't you just fix Copilot? Can you make, how many times have we heard SharePoint search? That's because it's trying to reason through everything in your tenant since the day your tenant was created. Good, bad, doesn't know. It just knows it's there. So what it really means is content needs to be cleaned up. Does that mean delete? That mean archive, right? We have a conversation. So Copilot keeps citing stuff. Where does that stuff live? What kind of stuff? What are you trying to do? What does your prompt look like? What's your permissions posture look like, right? There's all kinds of questions we can start going through. What is old? I mean, for budgets and spreadsheets, old could be last week, could be last quarter. What does this mean? And if we get the buy-in to clean up content wrong, or is it just outdated? If it's wrong, can we delete it? Are we required to hold on to things? We have retention policies in our organizations. You know every rule and compliance guideline that we're supposed to keep for our business? I don't want to know either, but I will absolutely help configure the labels to put on those, right? So they don't get deleted. So we have to have all of those conversations. So if we want to hide it from Copilot or keep Copilot from seeing it, is that restricted search? Is it archive? Or are we clear to delete it, right? We can't answer those as IT. Absolutely can't. Got to have those answers from the business. I need to share content. Okay. Sure. You can email anybody you want, anytime, any place, anywhere. Or do they want to use a sharing link? Are we allowed to share outside the organization? Depends, right? So we have answers immediately ready, but why do you feel you can't share it? Are you getting law? Is the attachment not going through? Are you not allowed to share externally? What are you running into? We have those questions. We can start going, really find out instead of offering a solution that's just not going to work anyway. Let's discuss. The guy, I mentioned this yesterday. There's a guy on Instagram, probably on TikTok, but I'm not those kids. Very Southern. It goes through Southern things, but he always like, let's discuss it. Love it. Love it. So let's discuss it. So sharing is caring. This could be a corporate therapy session, I feel. Any examples of like, what's the worst one-line requirement you ever received from the business? Now you have stories. Yes, sir. Oh, okay. Oh, that's a very big statement, isn't it? You need wireless. Like this? No. Okay. How long did it take to get to the answer? When did they need the wireless? They knew that day they needed it because something went wrong. Yeah. Who ended up, how did you get to the answer? Yeah. Okay. Fair. Remote situation. That's a good one. Can I use that in the future? Great. Anybody else? Mhm. Move off of Box and onto OneDrive and SharePoint. Yeah. That's all. Just you switch it, right? You just flip the switch and it's done. Easily. Obviously. Yeah. Well, those will just migrate with the content, right? Yeah. Do they need the automation to move? Yeah, that's big. And that's funny how you just start unpacking. My brain didn't think about automations at first. I was thinking about security, structures, and have you gotten to the bottom of that requirements list? No. Right. Right. That not necessarily everything needs to go, that maybe some of those automations haven't run in a while. So you could, oh, they're all there. Oh, good. Oop. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 Fair. Licensing optimization. Like, that would be a whole other session in and of itself. Stakeholders, when we start digging into these things, those folks that are on the other side are the gentlemen here, right? That can talk the talk with both sides, have the conversation, and bring everything together. And it's not just the executive stakeholders that are important, although for big things like that, I don't know about just having wireless. Depends on what we mean. Top down support can absolutely be critical, especially if it's going to take resources, money, people's time. You're going to have to divert from other things. But as you start to pull through it and think, okay, the real use people who are actually doing the work, they're the ones that, when it's successful, are going to help evangelize, go, hey, we're not in Box anymore. We're in SharePoint, OneDrive, and wow, sharing is so much easier than it used to be. Oh my gosh, I can actually get to things through search now way better, right? And when you get the stakeholders, the champions on the business championing what IT is doing, really good momentum can start to pick up. The solutions actually work. Guess who? Okay, probably not the most, but guess who benefits a lot when your solutions actually fit and they actually work? Help desk. I started on the help desk. I am pro help desk. Big indication when things aren't working is you get an update of ticket, right? Big indication that things are going well. Fewer tickets, right? Better SLA. All those things start to get better. The concept of change and adoption and all that stuff just starts to pick up speed and move faster. And I say Copilot, for better or for worse, is absolutely a prime example of this. We've learned over the past couple of years that it's better to deploy Copilot licenses as a pilot in cohorts of people that work together, right? Because the graph is picking up those signals. These guys are working documents, these guys have stations together, and emails, and they're in meetings. So those data points there, and you get really good use case scenario instead of just IT. Or we're going to give it to upper management in these 6 departments that probably don't interface very much, right? When we'll say HR starts to audit, it's great. Man, the amount of time I have to spend during these reports has doubled. I talked to a guy, his RFP process. This was, I got 2 years ago, Copilot just off the shelf. His RFP process time went from 10 days, 14 hours. But we were standing in line for lunch at the M365 conference, I think in Orlando, time before. No. It's Like, oh, it's me. That's real. So, if he starts talking to random strangers in line at lunch, he's also talking to people in his organization going, do you know you can make this process better? Now we're not dropping $30 a month on the license for something that people just aren't that sure about. They're excited and that change starts to happen. Definitely. If you are looking for opportunities to improve things or to do rollouts, or you just need to get a better return on the investment for Microsoft 365, go talk to your help desk. They know. They know intimately. They probably even have those annoying dreams when they're talking to that same person over and over and over again. Right? They know what's working. They know what's not working. They know where it's painful. They know. Go find where your biggest bucket of tickets are. That's a great opportunity. Even if, I feel like we're probably too busy for this to be a real world example, even if the goal is just to start building that bridge, find those tickets, finding those quick wins, can really, 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 really go a long way. Now on the podcast today, one of my pet peeves these days, um, I heard this in a Microsoft keynote 6 or 8 months ago, and I'm mad about it ever since, about how industry leaders across segments know they need more productive, more productive, more productive, and AI is going to make them more productive. Makes me so mad. I think we are about at the point where we are finding our employees to adjust for the sake of productivity. Really need to be focused on is how can we make the work we're already doing more effective, efficient. This is where we can start doing this inside our organization. What's not working? How do we make it better? Well, I could preach on that. That might be a session one day. Well, definitely going to be a blog article soon. Request form. I used to have an old SharePoint architect who used to joke about how one day he's just going to have a server diagram. He'd say, show me on the server where SharePoint hurt you. Right. So I kind of brought that in here. It's like, how are you doing things today and what hurts? But this is an example. This is kind of like a resource slide of examples of if you don't have a process, if you don't have a list of questions, things that you're talking to business about now, this might be a good place to start. Now, your people, your organization culture. You could fit this to actually, be the words or be something that would resonate for you. Like I know some companies, if I went in and said, what hurts? They'd look at me. Maybe you need to go. That's just weird. It's a great place to start. And I will happily, happily listen down the doors. Oh, it's that guy. It's that guy. Number one thing here is like in the ways to win with teams. I mean, teams is the place for teamwork, right? Isn't that the old tagline? Is to make sure if we're going to have new processes, new ways that we're working, don't ask people to context switch 100% if you can avoid it. I think there probably is a Copilot button everywhere now. So that may not be a big issue. But one of the beautiful things with team, the ability is to embed those processes right there where they already are. We need to be able to track. That's one we hear a lot. We need to do projects and all that. Project. So we're not even going to talk about that. But to be able to have planner right there in a tab in Teams where they already are, not have to go around the world and back again to get to their plan. Having agents, bots, whatever you need right there, the panel, beautiful. Dashboards, you can tab those. Have a link or a web part on the SharePoint site, have a tab in Teams where you get all to these things. Start to show people how they could bring Teams into being like that surface where everything can happen to get to various workloads across their day. Really starts to become a win, especially if we're still might be newer for your organization, trying to get that adoption in Teams to be super, super successful. Kind of joke sometimes that Microsoft needs a thesaurus. Because sometimes they name the same thing over and over and over again. And we'll have all kinds of stuff with similar naming. We have a team and teams for our team. That's always a lot of fun. But like, I would say most of our users probably struggle with the actual concept of a channel. What, what does that mean? How does it work? Start to show that how they can segment their day-to-day processes of what they do, keep their content and their collaboration, their chat organized together, how you can get to all the other things you do right there from your channel. Good uptick. Good uptick in that. Click the button. There it goes. Another idea. Pilot. Defining it with purpose. I mean, we all want it because it's cool. It's going to do great things. But if we don't have a use case, we don't anchor it, cool is really not going to pay the bill. But partnering various aspects across the business, whether it's SharePoint, whether it's Dynamic, whether it's OneDrive, Copilot, having those other areas, draft the memos, the updates. Maybe there's a IT corner on the intranet where people can find information. Sure, they can get to that information very quickly, very easily. Teach people how to leverage it, knowledge search, teach them how to do meeting recap. Meeting recaps is revolutionary for me. I don't have to take notes anymore. I can actually listen, not do the deer in the headlights when someone says, Joy. Yep. No idea what you just said. All kinds of good ways to deploy purpose. And I'll say too, IT, if you already have like your Copilot license, thinking about rolling it out, you're trying to find the best use cases, do a show and tell. I did a show and tell at Orchestry with some of other customer facing folks in the sales team because I went for the first time ever a couple of years ago. I took a full 2-week vacation. A little nervous about my inbox and my team's message will look like when I got back because I went on a cruise. I'm not going to pay for Wi-Fi on a cruise. Way too expensive. But that's how I make myself disconnect. I was up to date by lunch my first day back because of Copilot. Like, holy crap, people know how great this really can be for things. And Raina, who's been at the booth this week, and we're doing our next session in about 25 minutes, like, show me. Because she is customer facing. She's our director of enterprise sales. And it's like her phone buzzes and right there, because that could be the next deal. It could be a customer that needs to have a conversation right now. That girl, even when she's on vacation, I see that light on in team all the time. She's scared she's going to miss something. Showed her, right? We've seen doing things like that at Orchestra. We've seen a real uptick in the use case. If you make it visible, it'll make it stick. Go off the things. Do a LinkedIn article showing like this prompt saved me 3 hours on this process I used to do. Do you do blogs inside your company or anything like that? Or do you have like a newsletter, areas on the intranet? Tell people some of the cool stuff that's happening. Do a quick video or walk. Measure it. All kinds of tools inside of M365 to be able to measure those things. Pick a few. Start small. The old saying is like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? We don't fix everything today, but we start and we build momentum. And then show it off. Show it off. Okay, Viva Engage. Anybody using Viva Engage community in your organization? Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm glad to see it's nodding. Work in teams. We work, we talk, we figure things out, we solve problems in teams. We get wins out of the work we do. Show it off in Viva Engage. Teams will notify you to death about everything, whether you want it to or not. Beautiful thing about Viva Engage, I don't have to join that community to go into it, to read, to interact. If I don't join it, I don't get notifications. You can also pick and choose. I can unsubscribe or unsubscribe to those notifications, right? But it's a quieter platform. It's got more and more integration inside of Teams now. Show people what you're doing. Show people. Had an oil and gas company that everyone hated the safety team because the safety team was gloom and doom. Well, go boom and people die. That's kind of a big deal. You're like, Need them to read what we publish, need them to know how these things work. How do we get a better reputation in the company? So we started doing Viva Engage. We would do posts. They would post the drone footage of the drones going over the pipelines. It's like, cool. Who doesn't want to see that? Right. They had one guy that was a little less introverted than the rest that did videos of putting on his PPE wrong, what not to do. So you had people all across the organization watching these videos because it was fun. They had a new kind of way to interact with the organization, and they saw an uptick in their memos and their newsletters being read, and their safety numbers got better because they were being fun and being silly using Viva Engage, right? Advertise, advertise, advertise. Nobody knows it happened. Did it even happen? If a tree falls in the woods, right? They know they got their wireless device, or people know they're going to be in OneDrive instead of Box, right? You've got those pockets of it. But if we don't use every channel we have at our fingertips to let people know, go to the launch, to communicate, to recommunicate. My grandfather on my dad's side was a Baptist preacher, and he used to say you have to tell people, and then you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them, right? Tell them again and again and again. Remind them. Habits are hard. I say it takes 21 days to form a new habit or something like that. I think I'm a slow learner. I'm just about to say, for me, it takes a lot longer than 21 days. I don't know. Well, I'm glad to know maybe I was misinformed. Yeah. Here. So much better about myself now. Right? We back to those old habits because we're human beings. Remind them. We're migrating off of books, making sure we're locking it down so they can't go back into the old habits again. You're archiving something, we're making it read only, so pull down things, not work there anymore. Show them the new way. And then, much like Sisyphus, never done, right? Pushing that rock up the hill, we go back. How's it going? Is it still working? Hey, help desk, how many tickets have you gotten on this new process yet? Are people confused? Have they figured out how to share out of OneDrive? What's going really, really great? What still could be that we could make better for you? What's not as good as we thought it was going to be? That's great feedback. I hear that so much in my role. It's like, that's great feedback. I'm going to take that back to the team. See if we can't make it better for you. And then let them know. I would also say around change management, if something is going to change, maybe let them know before the week it's going to change. Maybe send them some screenshots. Maybe do a little video like, this is what the new corporate homepage is going to look like in fall of 2026. You'll be able to find your policies here. Your password's going to be exactly the same. We're not going to change your username. It's just going to look a little bit different. People love to know what's coming up. They want to know what's going to change, even if they don't like the change. They also like to be, I don't know, assured that there's some things that are going to stay consistent. So if we remember 5 things here for the business, we see you. We understand. We know you're doing your work for the company. Know you are experts in your field. We want to enable you. We want to deploy with purpose, not just because it's shiny, but because there's a reason, there's a problem it's going to solve. We're going to solve those problems by asking better questions. Business perspective, we hope you'll be open and honest to give you the answers and the feedback we need to make it better. Measure, communicate, data. We love our data, right? Build a dashboard, wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. Win the friend, build the relationship, those stakeholders, everything, building up this relationship between IT and the business. Then, if you're the person that starts to spearhead this, there's a good chance you're the one the business asks for. Hey, I need to talk to Mary. Got the thing going on. Want that? Probably depends on the day, right? But if they're coming to you, you know you've got a team, you know you've got a process, you know you've got an open door to go implement the change that the business needs. They trust you. That's huge. That is so huge. Oh, that brings me to the end of my talk today. Thank you so much for coming, being part of the conversation. If you're on social, I am at Joy of SharePoint on that anymore, but I still like the bird. LinkedIn, my email's here. I'm going to be around doing another session in 14 minutes and 18 seconds. Feel free to come join. It might have a Star Wars theme. But yeah, thanks so much for coming. Here.